Tonight's episode of Soul Knowledge has a look at the Air Jordan 14 and explains Zoom Air in a way that you've never understood it before. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Soul Knowledge, the home of the sneaker story and the home of sports culture insights. I'm your host, Bernie Wicomb, and I am the sneaker evangelist. The Air Jordan 14 has been inspired by the Ferrari. And I just want to make one thing clear with its nickname, because it's actually called the Last Shot and not the Air Jordan 14 Ferrari. The Ferrari is actually a colorway given to this shoe over here in the image. This is the Air Jordan 14 Ferrari. However, when it refers to the one in my hand, the original, this is the Last Shot. We got to be clear on that one. So the Air Jordan 14 has several claims to fame, but the most important of which is that this is the last shoe Michael Jordan played in when he played for the Chicago Bulls within the NBA. It is within that game, literally the dying seconds of that game, that Michael Jordan scores the winning points, which won the Chicago Bulls their 6th championship over the Utah Jazz. And within those dying seconds, he nails it. This is what that scene looked like.
Here comes Chicago, 17 seconds. 17 seconds from game 7 or from championship number 6. Jordan, open, Chicago with the lead. If that's the last image of Michael Jordan, how magnificent is it?
I don't think you can put it into words, Bob. I mean, what he's done here in this fourth period.
What makes the shoe even more significant is that he was not actually supposed to have worn it for this game. He had it in his possession. He should still have worn the Air Jordan 13s for this game, but he pulls out the 14s to everybody's surprise. He could not resist the moment, but the shoe made its mark. Let me break down how the Ferrari is found visible within the Air Jordan 14. The first piece, and the most obvious of which, is the logo's detailing. You will notice that the stallion has been replaced with the Jumpman. And the second piece is that the upper actually represents the seat. More specifically, this is a bucket seat. And the idea of a bucket seat is that it keeps the driver in the seat, stable, without too much movement. And the same thing has been done with the shoe. And that's been achieved by actually lowering the player's foot, but then elevating the midsole on either side of the shoe, which actually locks in the foot, exactly as you would expect for a bucket seat. The next detail is that of the seat belt, which can be found in the tongue of the shoe. So as a combination, the tongue and laces serve as a means of keeping you locked in with a sudden stop. Now have a look at that seat belt type detailing that appears on the lip of that tongue. Taking a closer look at the forefoot, you will see that these two compression molded EVA midsole extensions on either side have actually taken their inspiration from spoilers, but they actually keep your foot locked into place and offer additional stability within the forefoot. When you have a look at the rear section, you will notice that the outsole has actually extended up the back over there. Now that obviously looks like a Pirelli tire in the way it looks, in the way that it's been curved to that back. But it's important to remember that a tire and an outsole have the same function, giving you the traction that you require for the activity. A small detail, not functional, but actually quite cool, is these little red lines that actually represent the brake lights that you would find at the back of the Ferrari, but that's purely aesthetic, which has been added into that back. So in having a look at the stability bar, that you see these horizontal lines positioned all the way through the outsole and to both the medial and lateral side, that has taken its inspiration from the actual detailing on the Ferrari engine. And as you can see in these images, it's not too difficult for you to imagine how those lines have then made sense across the shoe. The design element I purposefully left for last is this one over here. It is the intake section of the shoe, and it serves an amazing purpose, just like it would in the car. This intake section, the faster you move, actually allows cool air, or rather forces cool air directly into the shoe as it would the car. When I was originally shared the detailing of the inspiration behind the Jordan 14, I was told that it was actually the F50, the car, which had inspired the design of the shoe. I've had a look at other blogs and I've not seen anybody actually say, indeed Bernie, it is the F50. Everybody else is saying it is the 550 Maranello that has actually taken the inspiration for the Jordan 14. Now, I'll tell you why I disagree. If you have a look at the Maranello and you look at the F50, you will actually realize that this intake resembles a F50 more than it would the Maranello. So I'm actually still going to stand on that point. The only thing that is really going to convince me is if Tinker himself, who designed the shoe, tells me, hey Bernie, you've got it wrong, fool. But until that day, I'm still calling it the F50. This is Nike's Zoom Air technology, which is the cushion found within the Air Jordan 14. Now, Zoom Air is probably the most fascinating out of the entire Air portfolio. Could you imagine the top section of the Air unit and the bottom section connected by elasticated fibers? So top and bottom, just fibers running up and down connecting the two. Now, what these elasticated fibers do is they pull the top and the bottom section of the Air unit closer to one another. But then the Air unit is inflated with air, and what happens? It pushes the fibers away from one another. So what you have are two opposing forces within the air unit. You've got the elasticated fibers who wants to pull the top to the bottom, and you've got the air that's pushing it back out. And that tension creates the most responsive cushion that you can imagine. When you've got a basketball player who wants to move in and out of a situation, or left and right, back and forth, the moment he puts his foot down, it is those fibers which assist his foot in moving lower to get that cushioning. But the moment he picks his foot back up, it is the air cushion that pushes those fibers back into place and moves him or propels him immediately into his next position, and the air cushion takes its neutral zone again. Now I have a cross section of a Zoom Air unit with me, and it's actually a shoe that's been cut in half. This is the Air Zoom Seismic. Nike, could you please hook us up with a reissue on these? But having a look, it's cut through the Zoom cushion, and if I pull it back over there, you are able to see all of the fibers that still exist within that construction. In getting a better understanding as to why Nike created Zoom Air, you've got to think of this. Consider Max Air. Think of those thick tires that you have on a monster truck. Massive thick tires. Beyond its suspension, it's also those thick tires that help absorb the impact. Then I want you to think of a Formula One car on the other hand for Zoom Air. A Formula One car has got to be much lower to the ground, and it does very quick turns, left and right, quick ins and outs. And that's the basic logic that differentiates Max Air from Zoom Air. And now when you think of the Air Jordan 14, the 14 and the Ferrari means that for this player, he's got to be quick, he's got to be in and out when it counts, and it's got to be lower to the ground and offering that responsive cushioning where it counts. Special thanks and appreciation goes out to the guys at Jack Lemke Sports who was assisted in making this episode possible, and more specifically to Cal's6453 who has made his Air Jordan 14s available for the shoot. Jack Lemke's, mad love coming from Soul Knowledge. And for everybody else, I've got a bit of homework for you. Have a look at your private collections and see if you can identify any shoes which contain Zoom Air. Send me some photos, give me names, let me just see what you guys are wearing. Thank you for sticking around, guys. Look out for another one sneaker in 1 second. Mad love.